Hello, this is Godwin. I'm responsible for e-business suite development at Oracle, and with me today is Tim Hricko, who is the Chief of Strategy for our projects and leasing and property manager areas. And today we're going to be focusing on projects, and we're going to talk with Tim about what's new and exciting in the projects area. So Tim, welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
And let's jump right in. So we just came out with a product called Project Procurement, which sounds like a bridge between projects and procurement, of course. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about that. Why did we do that, and what does it do for people?
Yeah. First, we're really excited about this product. Just came out a few months ago. It's targeted towards large project-centric organizations that do a lot of procurement. So they need a lot of services, resource, and material in order to complete their project. As we work with these customers, we notice that they have quite a bit of procurement. In some cases, more than 50% of the revenue is spent on procurement. Industries like industrial manufacturing, oil and gas, engineering, construction, 50% or more of their revenue is spent on procurement. On the flip side, on the project side, we started understanding how their projects are run and where their costs are at. And believe it or not, according to the Construction Standards Institute, more than 40% of their wastage is in projects for project cost. And we started digging deeper into it. So where's this wastage at? It's because materials are not available, or materials have bad quality, or labor issues. Basically, material hasn't showed up, but I still got to pay my people for it. So we're saying, great, not great, but a large need out there for a large percent of procurement. And on the reverse side, a lot of wastage in the same area. So we think there's a lot of opportunity, a big need there for us to help out and reduce that wastage.
So we've targeted a product at really minimizing that wastage. So how does Project Procurement do that?
Yeah, well, what we start with is what we call a procurement plan. Every project, you start beginning and say, okay, what do I need to procure for this project? What materials do I need? What resources do I need?
When do they need to show up?
Exactly, when they need to show up. Exactly, that's where we tie in the schedule part of it. So, okay, now I've got my material that I need, I've got my schedule tied into it, so now we have a procurement plan. And we allow customers to set objectives to that plan, saying what's more important to me? Is it the cost was the most important thing to me? Is it the time that's the most important thing to me? Quality? I always like to use an example of building a road. If I got to close down a road for a long weekend, it's got to be back up Monday morning for the commute. What's the most important thing to me? It's probably not going to be cost. The most important thing is I want to get that road open Monday morning, because probably if I delay, I get probably steep penalties. Right. My company's reputation's probably shot. But if I get it early, I'll get some good bonuses probably. So it's important that the buyer knows that information. So don't try saving a few pennies on cutting costs. Let's get that good quality material services there at
on the schedule.
On the schedule side, so I can hit my time frame. So with that information in hand, now my buyer knows that. So he can do a better job with supplier analysis. So what suppliers have the right lead times for my project? What supplier has the right cost that it's going to hit that objective? The item analysis. Which items have the highest quality that meet my needs that will be here in the right amount of time? So it's having that project plan or procurement plan, the objectives, the collaboration between the two, and knowing what's going on, as well as the collaboration between them. So now my project manager can have visibility from my buyer, hey, if something's running behind schedule, the project manager knows that, and he can reschedule some tasks, saying, hey, this isn't showing up, well, I don't want my resources, labor, just sitting there waiting. Well, let me reschedule some tasks, but I do have that material there, and put them on those. Or vice versa, if my project manager is running behind, the buyer can see that. The buyer is able to say, hey, you know what, they're not ready for it. Let me allocate this material to a project that is ready for it, make the best use out of it. So we're very excited about that.
So really it's like common visibility between the project person and the procurement people about what are the dependencies of the project on materials that are being procured, and letting everybody kind of optimize that as the ups and downs of life mean that not everything happens when it was supposed to.
Exactly. It's all built on top of our Endeca technology, so it's great insights for them to see all this information brought together, all this data from across projects, procurement, the project budgets, the procurement plans, the schedules, all brought together in technology, great insights. They can see what's happening, take immediate actions on it, and with Endeca, it's great usability, which is a key driver for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, speaking of usability, I think Endeca's, for everybody who's ever seen it, Endeca's a huge breakthrough in usability. Beyond that, what else are we doing in the usability area to improve things?
Yeah, so you mentioned Endeca, we've got some mobile apps we're working on, and we're doing very specific UI improvements as well. In the projects area, we're focusing on project creation. How can I create a project from really just one screen? You know, you create that project from template, another contract, all on one screen, get my project started. As well as if I don't have all the information there, I still want to get the project started, I can create that project and then copy and make my work plan from another project a bit later on. We've also rewrote our funding part, so now it's a seamless integration with our funding into our project management application. We've updated our budgeting and forecasting to improve our usability on that, so I can now a lot more scrolling, brought more information that's relevant to one screen, improve the information that's there, the formatting of it, as well as our work plan, financial plan. You know, we found that 80% of our customers have a financial plan and work plan in the same structure, but they had to go over here to see the budget portion of it, over here to go see the schedule portion of it. So let's bring that information together. So now I can see, here's my task information, here's my budget, here's how I'm doing on it. So I got all that information together in one common view for them. It really improves usability.
Great. Well, now one thing you mentioned at the beginning of the usability comment there was mobility. Now, of course, people who are working on projects where you're out at the project site and trying to understand whether the project's on track or maybe spot an issue in the project while you're out visiting it. What are we doing to support the needs of mobility for project managers?
Yeah, you're right. It's a big need for a project, you know, across all different industries. Now, it could be a project manager in software implementation. You know, these guys are road warriors. They're out there 40 plus weeks out of the year, going through airports, hotels. Could be a working construction site, some trailer somewhere. Could be, you know, oil and gas, mining out in the middle of nowhere, you know, isolated geographically area. None of these guys have a central office. None of these guys have network connectivity or very limited. The infrastructure is very poor. So they all have this need, but they still got to get their work done. You know? But you don't have access to networks, not an excuse, right? So it's how do I still get my work done? So really we're focusing on, you know, with projects. We have an app coming out very soon called Mobile Project Manager. For the project manager, it gives them a good overview of the project, all the projects that the project manager is responsible for. It shows them their budget, you know, how much budgeted for the work that I completed, how much I actually spend on it. It gives them insights into the team who's on the project. It has that device integration. So here's my project team, all the roles. I can click on it and say, okay, let me text them, let me email them, call them,
right from
all that device integration. Visibility into issues, you know, they're running through the airports. Well, where's this issue at? Who owns it? This is past due. Why? So they can follow up on those. Invoices. So you know, if they chase a customer for, hey, you haven't paid me. Why not? Vice versa. If they get called from a supplier, hey, you haven't paid me. I can see what's outstanding. So it's really excited about that. We think, you know, with that type of information, along with what's already been released, you know, or coming out soon from EBS, you know, the time cards. You know, key part of a project is I got to enter time in. Or I got to enter expenses in for a project. So we think between the mobile project manager, the expense entry, the time entry, it's a real good suite of applications. It's going to really reduce that infrastructure cost for the projects, because now I can just rely on the mobile networks, reduce our total cost of ownership, because now it's just one package all integrated from Oracle. It's going to improve their visibility. The data entry they can do right there. You know, do it while they're in the airport waiting for that plane. They can do it
just
while
makes
they're on
everybody
the
more
site.
efficient.
Yep.
That's great. Now, we've talked about several industries. You mentioned engineering and construction, other kind of large capital-intensive companies as we were talking about project procurement. Any other industries you want to highlight what we're doing for? Because we've done a lot of kind of industry-themed development in the projects area.
Yeah, another one is federal. You know, as you know, we've done a lot of work on the contract lifecycle management, which is really managing the whole project for federal government, the contract, thank you, for federal government from start to end, in close conjunction with the federal government. Now we're going to start focusing on the other side of that as well, which is on the folks that sell to the federal government.
This is like federal contracting.
Exactly,
So we had a solution before for government agencies, and now we've got a solution kind of on the other side to help people who bill government agencies like federal contractors, particularly large people that sell them the large equipment and do
Yeah.
large projects for them to build them in compliance with all their rules.
Yeah, and that's the key part. Is that for these guys, it's the cash flow, and how do you get your money out of the government is make sure you follow the regulations. You know, I got to have my billing correct, my invoicing correct. It's got to be accurate. It's got to be transparent. So that's a big focus for us going forward, is getting that correct billing to the government in order for us to get that, for these customers to get their payments back from the government. So with the 12.2.4 release, we come up with some new functionality, really two new billing methods. One is a cost plus fixed fee billing, and the other one is the progress payment method, which has really helped improve that for the government. And these also provide additional support for that FAR, DFAR, some specific template that they need in order to get that those invoices correct, and the transparency and auditability.
Right, very good. Well, it looks like we've done a lot for large capital-intensive industries, engineering, construction industries, the federal government, people, big contractors, aerospace, defense type contractors that would sell into the federal government. And what have we got going? You know, what can we expect from you over the next year?
Probably the next big thing is our project controls. And this is something we've been working on for the last few releases. You know, we've done the payroll to get more actual payroll costs. We did cost breakdown structure recently, which is a better way to track costs. But now we're really bringing it all together with a new module called project controls. Project controls is applicable to all industries, whether it's a small marketing project, a mid-sized engineering project, to a large construction project. You know, it's just the larger the project is, the more controls that are needed, the more controls become more difficult because you got a lot of moving parts. It's just the resources and requirements for large projects are a bit more complex. And it all becomes more complex because there's a lot more data. And if this data, you have the project controls person, their responsibility is, every day going through tasks, looking for issues. You spent this much, you got this much amount of work done. You should have spent less, or you should have had more work done. Where's the issues at? And that they pull data from everywhere. They pull the budgets, they pull the forecast, they pull the actuals from payroll, from procurement, expenses from AP, bringing the schedule pieces as well. A lot of the information is siloed, difficult to get to, difficult to draw conclusions from. So it's very difficult for them to actually take actions on it because it's not easy for them to understand. So we want to bring this information together, bring those insights in that says, hey, here's where your risks are, here's where you need to take corrective actions to. Provide that collaboration, using something like Oracle Social Network. So, okay, let me contact my project manager, let me contact my controller, right there through the Oracle Social Network. Provide simulations. Hey, what if I use the different rates? What if I use the different costs? Can I get a better supplier here? If I did this, would that get me back on track? Really take those corrective actions from there to really drive that efficiency and get our projects on time and on schedule.
Well, that's really exciting. So we look forward to the next year of work from the projects team. So Tim, thank you for the update. Thanks very much. It's a very exciting year in projects. And until next time, this is Cliff Godwin.
Thank you.